Canonn Radio, solving the galaxy's mysteries one biscuit at a time. A good relative time part to you, everyone. I'm Commander Larzok, and this is Canonn Faction News. It's been a busy week. First, our apologies about the lack of a discussion panel this past weekend. It turns out there was a pressure issue in our tinfoil-lined recording studio, and our week's guest barely escaped to a secure area of the station before the studio was forcibly relocated to a more vacuum-rich location. Maintenance crews have been hard at work, and we are back up and running as of this broadcast. Upon request, we may release the 40-minute recording of Hard Vacuum for those interested. In Guardians news, the hits just keep on coming as more sites are found, and configurations and variants of each are cataloged and confirmed by Canonn survey teams both in our relatively local neighborhood and just recently as far as 12,000 light-years away in the Scouty Nebula. This most recent discovery expands the search area for further sites from the relatively contained area between Snoofy and the Regular sector to potentially anywhere in the galaxy. It appears the Guardians were far more spread out than anyone suspected and could very well have been masters of more than a quarter of the galaxy. As more news comes in on this front, CFN will be on the front lines of getting it out to you, our listeners. A brief message from the faction progenitors before we move on. They recommend you take advantage of the current boom to help push Canonn's missions in Chocobog, as we are currently very close to initiating a hostile takeover of the system. And now we join our regular commentator, Dr. Scarlett Ashcroft, for an update on the happenings in Wreaken. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Ashcroft. What more have you turned up on the Wreaken front?
Well, before I discuss any new information, I must correct some things that I stated in one of my previous interviews. It seems that the information I was given on Wreaken's holdings may not be entirely accurate. I am currently having some of my people look into this matter a bit more in depth.
Well, we can't have that. What have you discovered?
Well, I've yet to acquire any hard data. I've been having to fight through a lot of red tape, and things have been quite slow going. I have had a lot of time to think about the information that has been presented to us, however, and the thing that strikes me as strange is the disfiguration of the body. We've been told it was caused by radiation, and while this is technically possible, in order for that to happen, there would have to be many serious failures in modern-day safety systems. For one, you would somehow have to be exposed directly to the vacuum of space. This means that not only would your ship have to be heavily damaged, but your escape pod would have to either malfunction or be damaged as well, somehow ejecting you into space. Following that, your suit would have to be severely damaged, thus exposing your skin to the radiation from the local star. And even then, it would take some amount of time for the body to be disfigured beyond any possible recognition.
So this leads one to wonder, Dr. Ashcroft, how old could these remains be? And the better question, are they human remains? As I'm sure you know by now, the enigmatic Guardians seem to have covered a rather large swath of the galaxy with their civilization. Could these remains be in fact from a member of this mysterious species?
At this time, there is no way to tell. My requests for an autopsy report have been continuously denied. I doubt it was one of the so-called Guardians, however. There doesn't seem to be any trace of their existence beyond the ruins that have been found. No, I suspect this body is human. Moreover, I suspect whoever it is was murdered. Also, I do not think this was premeditated. If Wreaken had fired on this person's ship and subsequently fired upon the escape pod, well, for one, that's an utterly insane show of force by a simple mining company, and second of all, weapons fire would have likely destroyed the body entirely if it was fired upon by starship weaponry. I suspect this was opportunistic. My leading theory is that they were killed whilst aboard a ship and not wearing their flight suit. I believe the body was then ejected into space in the hopes that no one would find it. Alas, however, until I can get an autopsy report, this is all merely speculation.
Ah, well, I suppose it would be too much to ask that we'd find alien corpses. It does seem entirely more likely that someone saw something they shouldn't and were simply silenced before they could distribute or sell the information. Do you have any leads as to where the body was taken?
Unfortunately, I do not. But I will continue to do everything I can to get to the bottom of this incident. I'm currently in the process of hiring some bureaucratic professionals to help me get through the insurmountable amount of paperwork I need to do in order to make any progress with this.
Well, Dr. Ashcroft, when you uncover more, we will surely have you back to discuss it with us.
I look forward to it. But before I go, I'd like to say one more thing. I'm currently in the process of devising a plan to acquire permits to the Col 70 sector and subsequently release them to the public. I will be making an announcement on it sometime next week, so be sure to keep an eye out for it.
We will certainly keep our eyes open. If these permits can be acquired, it would be a great boon for further discoveries to be sure. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Ashcroft.
A pleasure, as always.
And that about wraps up our program for now, everyone. Thank you again to Dr. Ashcroft for her time. This is Commander Larzok signing off. Thank you for listening to Canonn Faction News.